Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you on a journey through time to one of the greatest empires in human history. A civilization rose to unmatched heights of power, culture, and influence, only to fall into ruin and chaos. This is the story of the Roman Empire, a tale of glory and tragedy that spans over 1,000 years. In this video, we'll explore the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, a colossal journey through history. If you're as fascinated by history as we are, join our community of history enthusiasts by subscribing to our channel. Let's get started. It was the 7th century BC when ancient Rome was just a small town situated on the banks of the Tiber River in central Italy. From this humble beginning, Rome went on to become an empire that spanned much of Western Asia, Northern Africa, and the Mediterranean islands. The legacy of the Roman Empire is still felt today as it left behind countless contributions that have shaped the modern world. These include the contemporary Western alphabet and calendar, the spread of Christianity, and the Romance languages, which all have their roots in Latin. Rome is said to have been founded in 753 BC by twin brothers Romulus and Remus. The tale goes that the twins were raised by a she-wolf after being abandoned in a basket on the Tiber River by the king of a neighboring city. As they grew up, they decided to establish their own territory along the Tiber, and in 753 BC, Romulus killed his brother and became first king of Rome. From there, a series of non-hereditary rulers, including Tarquin the Proud, ruled over the ancient Italian states of Sabine, Latin, and Etruscan. Despite being called Rex, or king, each monarch following Romulus was actually selected by the Senate. However, Rome's last king, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, was known for his cruel and tyrannical behavior, which eventually sparked a popular rebellion after his son allegedly raped a noblewoman named Lucretia. In 509 BC, Rome transitioned from a monarchy to a republic, meaning public property in Latin, with power vested in the people rather than in a single ruler. And let's not forget about the 7 hills on which Rome was founded: Esquiline Hill, Palatine Hill, Aventine Hill, Capitoline Hill, Quirinal Hill, Viminal Hill, and Salian Hill. It's amazing to think that these hills, which were once just a collection of small settlements, eventually grew into one of the most powerful empires the world has ever seen. 2 magistrates called consuls are being elected by the people to take over the duties of the former monarch. These consuls are also responsible for leading the armed forces as supreme commanders and protecting the city and its people. The patricians, the lineal heirs of the founding senators from the time of Romulus, dominate the Senate, providing a huge pool of candidates for the magistrates. But politics in the early republic was characterized by a long struggle between patricians and plebeians, the common people. After years of concessions from the patricians, the plebeians win some political power, including their own political bodies, the tribunes, which can initiate or veto legislation. This newfound power helps to balance the scales between the two groups, bringing some semblance of equality to the political system. The 12 tables, metal tablets with the earliest Roman law engraved on them, are presented in the Roman Forum in 450 BC. These statutes address legal procedure, civil rights, and property rights, forming the foundation for all that is to come in the world of Roman law. By about 300 BC, the Senate, consisting solely of members of patrician and rich plebeian families, had become the center of political power in Rome. But the struggles of the early republic have laid the groundwork for a more balanced and just system, one that will endure for centuries to come. In the early days of the Roman Republic, the city was just a small collection of settlements on the banks of the Tiber River. But over time, Rome grew and evolved into a powerful and influential city-state. Its people were resourceful and determined, and they used their ingenuity to overcome challenges and expand their reach. One of the key factors that contributed to Rome's success was its military. Despite facing setbacks and defeats, the Romans were able to recover and emerge stronger than ever before. For example, in 390 BC, the city was sacked and burned by the Gauls. But the Romans didn't give up. Instead, they rebuilt and reorganized their army to make it even more formidable. Their efforts paid off. By 264 BC, Rome had taken over all of Italy, thanks in part to the leadership of military hero Camillus. But Rome's ambitions didn't stop there. The city engaged in a series of wars with Carthage, a major city-state in northern Africa, known as the Punic Wars. Despite facing formidable opponents, Rome emerged victorious and established itself as the dominant power in the Mediterranean and much of what is now Spain. But Rome's influence wasn't just limited to military conquests. The city also benefited from its interactions with other cultures, particularly the Greeks. Through their military conquests, the Romans were exposed to the superior culture of the Greeks, including art, philosophy, and religion. This exposure had a profound impact on Roman culture as they incorporated many aspects of Greek civilization into their own. As the city continued to grow and evolve, the people of Rome could look back with pride on their military achievements and cultural expansion. They were a force to be reckoned with, and their impact on history would be felt for centuries to come. The glory days of Rome were long gone, and a time of unrest and conflicts had taken their place. The once sophisticated government structures had crumbled under the weight of the expanding empire. As landowners grew more affluent, they forced small farmers off public property, resulting in a significant increase in income disparity. Only the wealthy and well-connected could access the government, leaving the majority of the population voiceless. The reform movements of Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus aimed to bring balance and equality to the Roman Republic, but their efforts were met with violent opposition, and both reformers were ultimately executed. It was a dark time in Roman history. In the midst of the chaos, a man named Gaius Marius rose to power. A commoner with a brilliant military mind, Marius became the first of a series of warlords to rule Rome in the late Republic. But his adversaries, including the powerful General Sulla, were always looking to bring him down. Pompey, a follower of Sulla's, briefly served as consul after his retirement. He then led victorious military campaigns against pirates in the Mediterranean and Mithridates' armies in Asia, cementing his place as one of Rome's greatest military heroes. But it wasn't just military might that was at play in the late Republic. Marcus Tullius Cicero emerged as one of Rome's greatest orators after being elected consul in 63 BC. He famously foiled a plot by the patrician Catiline, earning him the respect and admiration of the people. It was a time of conflict and unrest in Rome, but even in the midst of the chaos, there were those who stood up for what was right. The legacy of these men and women would shape Rome and its people for centuries to come. The story of the Roman Empire is one of the greatest triumphs and tragic endings. It began with the rise of Julius Caesar, a brilliant military strategist whose conquests in Gaul brought him immense wealth and power. But his successes also made him enemies within the Roman elite, leading to his eventual assassination and a period of chaos and civil war. Out of the ashes of the Republic rose Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Under his leadership, Rome experienced 2 centuries of peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana. Augustus's administration brought the empire back together after a century of strife and corruption. He gained many military triumphs, enacted countless social reforms, and encouraged the development of Roman culture in the areas of literature, art, architecture, and religion. However, the golden age of the empire was not to last. After Augustus's death, a string of corrupt and incompetent emperors took the throne, culminating in the reign of Commodus. His assassination plunged Rome back into turmoil, and the 3rd century saw a never-ending series of wars and assassinations, draining the empire's resources and integrity. External threats also plagued the empire, with persistent attacks by the Germans and Parthians and assaults from the Goths from across the Aegean Sea. The empire's bloated size eventually caused its downfall, and the city of Rome lost territories one by one until it was left with just a few remnants of its former glory. In 476, the last Western emperor was deposed, bringing a shameful end to the turbulent history of ancient Rome. The empire's legacy, however, would continue to shape the world for centuries to come. What if the empire had not fallen but continued to prosper and evolve? How would that have impacted the course of history? And more importantly, what can we learn from the empire's triumphs and failures to shape our own future? Let me know in the comment box below. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more interesting upcoming videos.